What is buffer time? What is buffer time? Is what buffer time?
Insert sassy welcome snippet here. Hi, I'm Best of Trek, Worst of Trek from a channel called Dustin. And let's go around this way and we'll introduce the things.
I am Scott from Opinions No One Cares About, aka Mr. Tricorder.
My name is Vanessa, and I host a YouTube channel called I Love Bad Star Trek.
My name is Josh from Windgrace Project, and it's revolting.
Please. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because there have already been so many videos made, including a wonderful one by this dude right down here about the Strange New Worlds trailer that we finally got with the almost release date of coming this summer.
This year, question mark?
But I just want to throw out there, we finally got a Strange New Worlds trailer. Any just quick thoughts?
I guess I just want to echo what Windgrace said, is like, I hope that they have like a solid story, a solid spine upon which to build the season versus just sort of wacky adventures that don't go anywhere, similar to Lower Decks or something, because these characters, especially Uhura, need more love.
I mean, thankfully, we've already gotten more from Uhura in a couple of seasons of Strange New World than we ever did in 3 seasons of TOS and 6 movies. But yeah, no, I'm with you there mostly. But I'm also here for the zaniness. I've seen a lot of comments of people being like, "Oh, this is so dumb. We only get 10 episodes, and it's this stupid zany stuff." Yeah, that's what kind of makes it fun. It's Strange New Worlds.
The only other thing I would say that I've seen commented that I forgot to address is it seems like they're really pushing into the Kirk thing. And I hope that doesn't take away from the prior to Kirk crew we're supposed to be coming to love here.
Yeah, I've been wondering about that myself. I do like that last shot in the trailer where it's like him and Scotty are like, yeah, we could be friends or whatever he says.
Let's do the time gap again.
Okay. So
yeah, I was really hoping is that.
Go, Scott.
Oh, I am liking. Cool. All I was really hoping is that they didn't specify a release date. Kind of hoping they'll pull those old scientists and drop it early.
And I'm completely on the other side of that. I'm really September's technically summer if you start like the first couple of weeks. But I'm sure it won't be that good.
Which hemisphere?
As long as we can get all of these movies done and have still just a couple of weeks to do some other stuff before we jump into a whole new series.
I think like with streaming, releasing in the summer has different implications than it does on like network television, if that helps at all. But I'm fine with it either way. If it comes out a little sooner or a little later, that's okay. As long as it comes out at some point.
Yep. But seriously, if you haven't seen Windgrace's breakdown of this, he does a great frame by frame breakdown of what's going on.
If you have way too much time on your hands.
Well, if you just like Star Trek. Yeah, I mean, we already know we're getting season 4. It's already being filmed, so that's pretty cool.
Got season 4 and 2 seasons of Academy that are guaranteed.
Yeah, minimum. Yep. All right, let's get to the movie that we're here to talk about. Star Trek Generations. First movie I ever saw in theaters for Star Trek movie I ever saw in theaters. So it's a bit nostalgic for me, but honestly, every time I watch it, I feel like it gets a little bit worse. Like I've always, a few years ago, I wondered, like, there's a lot of people that don't like this movie, and I'm always wondering, what don't you like about this movie? But honestly, the more times I watch it, the more I kind of get it. The more the nostalgia is starting to wear off. I don't hate it or anything. I find it to be really quite a good transition movie for TOS into TNG. But let's start at the beginning. Is the 2-minute and 20-second game of CGI Spin the Bottle better or worse than the ship pee from the previous movies?
I will gladly take it over that opening Starfield in the motion picture, because at least there's something going on.
It felt very, I don't want to say retro, but it did feel like something that wouldn't be in a movie anymore. So it's kind of the thing that plays while you're getting to your seat, less so than you actually needing to watch it. But I would probably take the ship pee, even though it went on for 3 or 4 times longer than this.
I am a TMP fan. I am the only one in this live stream that enjoys it. But the ship pee, I could have, it could have been trimmed down a bit. This sort of anachronism of, the champagne on a ship. I wonder if the shields were down and like it caused like actual structural damage. It just like, and the year on it, 2265. How much of a vintage is that in this time?
Roughly 30 years.
Okay. So 30-year-old champagne. It seems like a waste to just anyway. Like, it's not as much of a waste as that like 100-year-old bottle in Picard that was just lying around in season 2 where it wasn't very properly stored though. So
yeah, that must have been gross.
That would have been disgusting with like the cork all like collapsed in there and everything. But this is, 30 years is a little bit fresher, but still it's like, just drink it. Just drink it.
Should have been a box of Franzia.
For me,
just
this is
throw
one
the
of
bag.
This is one of the many things, like I was saying at the beginning of this, that it's aged poorly for me. Like, I liked it the first time I saw it in theaters. It was a spectacle. The CGI bottle looked pretty good. Still holds up as far as CGI today.
It does.
But also, meh. It is. You gotta bring your credits in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, it's better than the Starfield intros, even the one from like 4 and stuff.
But is it better than the cut space skydiving scene that was supposed to be there?
Oh God, yeah, that's right. Kirk is supposed to be like doing an orbital space dive.
Yeah.
And they even shot some of that, so it's like it's almost too bad we didn't get it. I don't know, because then that's like it's on the other extreme. Like, this is really slow, but that's literally like that is a fast thing. I think I like this better for credits anyway.
Kirk just wanted to make love to that planet. Yes.
No, I
was thinking
think
that too.
You totally hit it.
I was thinking that too. Would it just explode with the pressure and yeah? Because if you freeze a bottle of champagne in the freezer, it's not gonna survive.
Yeah, those are all good questions.
Like, it's funny, it's a science fiction movie, things get stretched and pulled all the time, but this is like a real thing. And they couldn't even get that right. So it's like off to a bad start.
Oh, hello, Charisse. And you are totally welcome to join us late if you would like to.
Hi, Charisse.
Hop on in.
Okay. Yeah, we even had that. Would a Dom Perignon bottle survive in the cold vacuum space? Yeah, I guess we all have some
Yet.
mixed feelings about that. How do we feel about the only ship in range trope today?
Do we ever feel good about this trope?
Yeah. I tried to think if it would feel genuine had it been the very first time, but I don't think it would even fit there based on where they are.
Yeah, if this wasn't like almost every movie with it, it'd be fine. But I guess like at least this is the only one in TNG, and it's the crossover between TOS, which it was always the only ship in range. So like, all right, you want to pass the torch this way and then stop? Okay, fine.
And Cameron from Ferris Bueller is the captain.
Mhm.
Like, and it's not even
Only on Tuesday.
that.
They're filled up with diplomats and press corps and everything. Prime time to take people into danger.
It's just slightly less plausible because they're presumably orbiting Earth, which is like the home of Starfleet. But there's no other ships around, not even smaller ones that can handle an emergency like this.
Yeah, if they were just going around like the solar system, like they said, and back, it is
Like,
hard to believe that there's
There's
nothing
so many
else.
ways to write around the trope. And they sort of even mention it in dialogue where it's like there's other ships that are closer. There's really no reason to do this. It's like a meta thing.
Yeah.
But no, we have to do it with a barely functional ship again.
There's no Utopia Planitia. There's no Jupiter Station. None of that exists.
Nope.
No Mars Defense Force.
That exists because of this, presumably.
Yes. This is the last straw. They're like, God, got to do something.
We lost Kirk, damn it.
So as we look at Harriman here, how did he make captain? He has to immediately turn to Kirk for help on his first day on the job. Can he only be captain on Tuesdays?
Damn it.
Quirk of the species, yes.
And he's captain of the flagship. Emergencies of grand scale are going to come up quite frequently, and you may be the person to call since you are the flagship. So it's like, if you're this
Possibly
skittish,
the only ship around.
Yeah, you're this skittish, maybe you should just get out of there and hand the keys to somebody who can do it.
Now, in his defense, it's possible that he's used to dealing with other situations because he's on, a fully stocked and crewed ship, because they're apparently down to like a skeleton crew or less at this point. And I mean, they don't even have photon torpedoes.
He's DEI hire.
Actually, I think he was in the novelization. He was like a Nepo baby or something. But I didn't read it before this, so I can't remember.
I have the book, so I should read up on that.
Totally should. Yep.
He just doesn't
I
want
agree
to
with
take his
James
dad's
Gray.
car out for a joyride and get in trouble.
And that's something we'll be talking about in 4 more weeks.
When he accidentally took the Enterprise B in reverse and just fell off.
If you run it backwards, you dial back the mileage. It all works.
He was out there in an exosuit kicking the saucer section. Who do you love? You love your shit.
Okay. I bet he rubs the Enterprise B down with a diaper, too. Does the sailing ship Enterprise promotion for Worf do anything for you?
It's really clever.
I think it's kind of fun. I think they take the cosplay pretty far. And I'm sort of wondering why. Like, you know, like once the promotion's over and you know they have their little, you know, walk the plank moment, why do they continue doing it? Like, okay, let's, you know, move on. Cute little
It's all in good
costume,
fun,
but
Vanessa.
I thought it was
Yeah.
fun, especially for the budget or for the big screen entertainment value of it. And to get to hear Jordy yelling yee or whatever he did. That was cool.
Yeah, that was weird.
With that thing.
I feel like it's fine. Yeah, it was. It's again, it's another one of those things that for me, it's like it's aged worse. Like I thought it was so cool the first time I saw it in theaters, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, that happens. The movie could go on without it if they needed to cut it for time, but also it's fun. Yeah, it's fine.
The only thing that I thought this time is it would have been nice if some of the background people that were, I'm assuming, just holograms, part of the program, had been like bit part people we had seen in TNG or something.
That would seem a little
Sonny Gomez
superfluous,
could have
Mr.
handled
Captain,
everything.
because you literally see like his grave at the end. So I said like a memorial. Like I guess that would only work if you got like everybody. If you got Nichelle Nichols and Leonard Nimoy and stuff
Yeah.
back.
yeah, could like Legacy Enterprise crew. That would be really nice. I also found it interesting that they were so intimately aware of the different parts of the ship, particularly Riker.
Except he didn't know to retract the plank. But
Right. Also, like, yeah, it reminded me of that line that Picard had. Didn't all boys play with ships and bottles? And Worf, like, I didn't play with little boys, like, you know, weird blooper thing. Yeah. I like the outfits though.
Yeah, they are snazzy. I wonder if they stole them from another production, or if it was
Probably.
made for this.
Probably some Gilbert and Sullivan.
I enjoyed the line where Riker said "no women." That was funny.
Mhm.
But there literally are women on the ship, just not ones
You
that
get your
are
priorities straight.
Yeah, I mean on this ship, but when they're talking literally about like old time ships where, oh, women were bad luck. Don't take a woman on board. So let's go from these super fun softball questions to, is time the fire in which we burn?
Time. This is no time to talk about time. We don't have the time.
We will next week.
Oh, fair enough. That was quite an interesting the way he said it. It's like he knew, but did he
Yes.
know? Is he the arsonist? Did he start that fire?
Well, we didn't start the fire, so
There it is. I mean, he's Elorian, and it's never really fully nailed down as to what their mental powers are. But you don't see Guinan doing stuff like she knows what Picard's thinking. So
Well, her power was to rub the bottle.
yes, a special Elorian.
Is this the same actor who played Alex in Clockwork Orange?
little Alex,
Yes.
and his droogs.
Okay. Yeah, he
That's
really
magic.
punched the hell out of that line.
Yeah, it's Malcolm.
Like
McDowell.
he had a very weird role in this movie, to be honest. But yeah, I would say that that's certainly one way to put it. That over time we disintegrate and renew. Fire is certainly part of that.
Except he's Elorian and just kind of lives forever. But regardless.
Well, he lives as long as he wants to live.
And it was so oddly specific to Picard.
Yeah, I had never thought about it until this playthrough about like he just gets the news about his brothers and his family dying in a fire, and then time is the fire in which we burn. So it's like, oh, okay, well now I need time and fire and my family, and it's all the things that have been going on in Picard's head ever since at least the Inner Light.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, and like Mr. Captain's pointing out, Malcolm McDowell is Alexander Siddig's uncle.
Thank you.
That's true.
Does the emotion chip make Data annoying as fuck, or was he that way all along?
Just like I've like come across people who just can't let natural interactions just be what they are. They just have to constantly reminisce, or yeah, it just like, and maybe that was just his emotion chip malfunctioning, because his mouth does do that weird like expanding thing where he kind of becomes a bit hysterical. But at first it's not that. I guess maybe he just doesn't know how to handle this like feeling of being amused, and is just searching his mind for like all the things that were amusing in his entire life.
I guess it's probably just overstimulated after having years of pretending to act like he had emotions. Plus, something I thought about is he wasn't given like all the memories and personalities of the colonists too, so maybe he just had too many emotions going on in there. I'm sure they didn't think about that when they
That's a good
wrote
point.
it.
But... what is it, like 1,200 colonists or something?
I think it was hundreds, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Because I just watched the episode where he had to pretend he was the dead son of the scientist that killed the crystalline entity.
On Avatar.
I think it's a mixed bag with Data in this one. Some of the humor really lands. Like, I mean, again, when I was a kid, loved all of it. This is great. Watching it more recently, like half of it is legitimately still funny, and half of it is annoying AF.
I feel like this emotion chip just wasn't utilized as well as it could have been. Like, it was just sort of like a thing that Data couldn't quite handle, and then it was promptly removed. I feel like Data has been building up to this for, the entirety of TNG. They really could have had him be there for Picard during his loss. Like, they really could have stitched him into the story much more solidly versus like, this is too much and I can't handle it. The fear thing I thought was well done though.
And the spot thing at the end was nice.
Yeah.
Though he and like pretty much everybody in Star Trek have no idea how to hold a cat. I'm going to take this opportunity for no apparent reason. I just ran upstairs while I had the graphic up because I forgot I've had this for about a month or so, and I haven't opened it yet. Just this little tricorder. Let's do an unboxing.
Ooh.
Ooh, yay! It's already got a battery.
Oh, good.
Ooh. It makes noises.
Are you detecting any life forms?
Those tiny little ones.
Life forms. Precious little life forms.
It's just got one light. It doesn't have any real buttons. It doesn't even have any thing on the bottom of it. It's literally just gray most of the way through. So, yeah, that's fun. Okay. I don't want to take up a ton of time with that. I just thought
Yep.
It'd be a
Take
good
off.
opportunity to pull that thing up.
Did you just download all the information from the internet real quick?
At least everything
Yeah,
in Wikipedia. So, I guess I should have asked this with the one before. Did we need the death of Picard's family to make the plot work?
No. I mean, outside of, I guess, making his Nexus, I almost said orb vision, his Nexus dream, I guess, whatever it is, feel a little bit more poignant. But the fact that he wasn't really tempted at all anyways really made that fall a little bit flat.
I think it would have been much more poignant if it was another crew member. His family in Picard season 3, as much as I didn't really care for it, he does, when he's asked by the person he doesn't know is his son, hey, what do you think of family? And he says, my crew is my family. Starfleet is my family. So this felt like a really big stretch to incept a bunch of emotions that were just never there about oh, my legacy and all this stuff. That just felt so why not?
I don't know about never there.
Okay.
Picard's a complicated dude, at least from my point of view. He's a complicated dude that's gone back and forth between a whole bunch of things throughout his life. I mean, his mom dies, and then he's like, yep, I don't like my father. I don't like the idea of family. Forget this. And then he has, decades until he hits just before the inner light. I think he really starts coming around to the idea, especially in I'm trying to remember the name of the episode with Kamala,
Perfect
Metamorph. That
Perfect
yes,
Oh,
and she kind of gives him permission to love, and then the inner light, and then he thinks all right, well things are good, and then his brother's family dies, and that kind of closes another chapter for him. So I think Picard's just complicated.
Mm-hmm. Now, out of universe, a lot of those things you just listed are Patrick Stewart's influence. Apparently this scene here was his wanting. The whole mother thing in Picard season 2 was his idea. So I think he just wanted more things to chew on in his role.
But I don't think it's any less profound of a relationship to be, attached to his crew, because they do mean a great deal to him. If something happened to Riker, for example, I think
Or Beverly.
Yeah.
We saw nothing.
Yes.
She did nothing in this movie, really.
Right.
Besides get pushed in the water.
Exactly. So I feel like that would have been much more poignant to me.
Yeah, just another touchstone in his complicated road towards family and feelings. I mean, I love that he and Data have this intertwined thing going on. The man that started without feelings and the actual man whose feelings are so suppressed he almost might as well be a Vulcan at the beginning of TNG.
In the beginning, you almost get a sort of a bit of nostalgia. This felt like Picard season 1 of TNG, kind of a jerk out of nowhere.
Well, yeah, he thought Data was dead. He had to promote somebody. Was it going to be Deanna? I don't think so.
Yeah, we'll blame Deanna. She's an easy scapegoat.
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody still blames
Guinan.
Deanna.
Guinan would be a great first officer.
Did you say Guinan?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just bring her on the bridge.
So.
Why not?
I mean, it's that same theory as Dax, or Ezri Dax. What are you going to learn in the next 2 months that you haven't already learned in 8 lifetimes? Yeah, she doesn't. Guinan doesn't even need formal training. She like, what is she gonna
I-
learn?
I mean, Guinan knows her way around a phaser. I think she would be a great security officer, personally.
What if Guinan was
Mhm.
every role on the ship?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, yep, she's a good counselor. She'd be good at tactical. I mean, I'm sure she's fine at ops. I mean, pretty much anybody can do ops. We haven't seen her behind the helm, but I'm sure she'd figure it out.
I'm sure she's piloted something at some point.
Oh, sure.
Probably something called 10 forward.
Okay.
Oh, this is
That
good.
Picard
silly
is
one
one
tonight.
bad mother.
Shut your mouth.
Sure. When Scotty
Just talking
digs
about
at
Picard.
Kirk for having a lonely retirement, is he forgetting about Kirk's dead son? So much family. So much dead family.
It was like this weird, lighthearted jab. Like, hey, you little lonely there? Huh? Huh? Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, that little awkward interaction
Yeah.
on the bridge. I'm like, I feel like that's just Shatner and Doohan not getting along, and they just filmed it. Carol Marcus is
Yeah,
probably
but like
off with
everything
Jillian.
Kirk does and or says on the bridge. Whoop. Jillian. Everything Kirk says or does on that bridge is a pretty big indicator that like he wants to be on that bridge. He didn't want to retire. It's almost kind of seems like they might have forced it on him.
So apparently, Carol Marcus was in the original script that Brandon Braga and Ronald D. Moore wrote, but the studio, Paramount, did not want to bring Carol Marcus back. And that just blows my mind. Rather than that, we have this throwaway character called Antonia that we've never heard of before and probably never hear about since.
You haven't read the Quadrilogy of Antonia books?
Are they romance novel spin-offs?
Probably. Written by Shatner about his glistening pecs.
Written by George R.R. Martin about
I'm telling you,
William
she's
Shatner's
just the
glistening pecs.
dream woman. She doesn't exist.
Or maybe
It's
Peter
just-
David.
Like, you hear her voice from like up the stairs and you see the silhouette of her on a horse. It's like this mythical figment of his imagination.
What if it was the original Enterprise, just in human form?
Yeah, this is another thing that bothers me, Nadia. Why is it this random woman too for Picard that we've never seen before or since? Where's Lavoie? Where's fucking Darren? We won't even ask where Laris is because we know the answer to that goddamn question.
Where's Loxana
Or
Troy?
Beth, anybody. Yeah. Literally anybody. That would have been awesome if it was Loxana Troy, actually.
What about
In the
the
Nexus, she's
archaeologist lady?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Vosh. Jeez, he's got
Vosh.
so many random chicks that it could be.
What if it was Q? Just John Delancey.
See, that would have been
Yes.
funny. Like, it would have been still a bad movie, but it would have been really funny.
Why were there so many civilians in the drive section to evacuate? There are no schools or crew quarters on the lower decks.
Probably because you got to be reminded that in the end, this might be a battleship, but it's also a galactic cruise liner. And that means you're going to have families everywhere.
Because somebody wrote a teddy bear scene they really wanted in the movie.
That poor teddy bear, man.
I know that, you know, one thing I wish they would have delved into with TNG in particular is like how the effect of constantly being in battles as a child.
Mhm.
I would think like maybe they might want to beam them out, you know, before going into a harrowing situation. I don't know. But I guess by the time they're crash landing, it's already too late.
Star Trek technical manuals, Nadia.
I mean, this is the last, I think this is the last time we ever see children on a ship aside from like Naomi or something, right? So they don't stock them with kids anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, there's kids on DS9.
Well, that's true.
That's space station though.
You definitely don't see kids on the Cerritos.
Though there's that whole thing in the simulation about like, oh, the pre-K is gone. All those kids.
Well, like there's the reason that there's not as much kids on DS9 later is because there was the bombing of that school.
Yep.
Win.
Yeah, freaking Kai win. I'm so sick of winning.
Winning.
Tiger blood.
I'm a wizard from Mars. Why would Picard dream of... Yeah, we basically already answered this. Of all these kids and a woman he's never met. Yeah, why not Vash? Or Bev? Or Darren? Or Lavoie? Yeah, we've been there. Talked about that. Wow. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of this. I didn't think we were going to get through these questions, but we've like already kind of gotten through stuff. Is it a missed opportunity for Picard to not respond to Kirk when he brings up Spock? To not have a conversation about everyone's favorite Vulcan, given that he's mind melded with him fairly recently?
Spock and Sarek, yeah.
I have to imagine that that was something that may have been cut. Like, I feel like the interactions between Picard and Kirk are some of the most unnatural discussions in the entire movie.
Robbie, it's a reference to God, who am I thinking of? Who are we talking about, Vanessa? Tiger Blood.
Charlie Sheen.
I can see, yes, Charlie Sheen. It's like I can
Charlie
see its
Sheen.
face in my head. There was this unhinged interview he gave years ago where he talked about like Tiger Blood, and he was a wizard.
Oh yeah,
from
he said he was a
Mars.
warlock though.
And also, like,
it was a
they asked
warlock,
him if
okay.
he had any drugs in the house, and he's like, "What drugs? Where? Like, if there are any drugs, I don't know about any." It's like,
Do you have any drugs in your house?
If I had any
And yet,
drugs,
what's
they'd
the
already
first
be
word?
gone. That's
And yet, what is the first word he says when he had his role in Ferris Bueller? Drugs.
yeah. Once he does.
That's right.
Yeah, it's such a great unhinged thing. Like if anybody hasn't seen that, go look it up online. It's great. Okay.
You didn't like the omelet scene,
most,
Norman?
Most of the discussions between like Picard and Kirk are just about Picard trying to convince Kirk to join him on a mission that isn't really necessary for him to do. Like,
Yeah. I feel like the whole point of that scene was to get to the point of Kirk telling Picard, don't let them promote you. Stay in that chair, just to not follow that advice 2 movies later. But
and he gets kicked out of Starfleet anyway because he cares about Romulans. Womp womp.
Yeah, even though they are 2 very different captains, they kind of follow that same path. They're great captains, not great admirals.
Did you forget a few letters there, Mr. Captain?
Because they don't want to be the Badmiral. They gotta let somebody else do that.
You gotta ride that hoe.
Talking about his Christmas wife?
Christmas wife. That's the wife that he imagined as Christmas Carol 2, the Scrooge's wife. So fun fact about the horses, those are William Shatner's horses, and he rented them to the production.
Oh my god, like there's that episode of Lower Decks that is at Shatner's farm, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
The
except
room
it's
there.
not Shatner there.
Horsey's going to bite you now.
Speaking
Yeah,
of which,
because
do you
apparently
think
Shatner became a horse guy in his later years.
Do you think it would have been better with any other characters besides Scotty and Chekhov who came to play from the original cast? In a similar capacity. I'm not saying rewrite the whole thing and have them involved. But.
No, I don't think it honestly matters unless you're going to do like the memorial scene that Mr. Captain had brought up. I did find it interesting. I didn't know until today. I was watching the commentaries, and they approached Leonard Nimoy about directing, and he just, nope. It was a hard pass right up front. And even though I watched the commentaries today, one of them having the director, I could not tell you the director's name. And this is the only Star Trek movie. I don't know the director's name. Pretty sure it's David something or another.
Yeah,
he's an English
David
dude.
Carson.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah,
he had directed Redemption in TNG. I think he might have directed another episode or two, but he's not a big Trek director or anything.
Back to like, this is a slight rewind, but Kirk being a horse guy, what he got in his divorce settlement. Yeah, lots of horse love.
You can say it.
I see.
Oh, it's a horse semen, buckets, gallons.
Him and his ex fought over horse semen and who had the rights and how to divide that.
Just
that's like the best headline I've ever read. It's just amazing.
David Carson directed a movie about pencils, so I mean, he was clearly well ready for this. Number 2, Story of the Pencil.
What?
Is it a sequel?
I hope so.
No, he just called it that.
Two Pencil, Too Furious.
Number 1, I've got to take a number 2. Does Kirk dying twice in one movie lessen the impact of the loss?
I guess I'll say no, simply because it was well promoted before the movie that he was going to be in it. So I don't think anyone assumed that death at the beginning was real. And they didn't show a body. Ooh.
Right.
Sorry, we're just being real, Nadia. It's not kidding. That was a real thing.
Public knowledge. Okay.
Civic knowledge?
I thought when Kirk fell down, when he made his final descent to death or whatever, in the fight scene, like they had this dummy, arms and legs, like strapped to the handrails. I thought that was so funny. It was so funny.
Yeah, he like slides down, he bounces off it, then the thing's spinning. Like, oh, we're supposed to believe he survived that long enough for a goodbye speech. Okay.
Only because they had to reshoot it. Maybe he wasn't there for the dummy scene.
I'm kind of annoyed that after in Star Trek 5, just 2 movies earlier, he's like, I've always known I was going to die alone. Well, you didn't. And you didn't even die with your normal
nobody
friends.
wanted to go back and check that movie for continuity anyway.
But if you were going to die with one of the captains of another enterprise that you had to act with in this movie, at least it was Picard, not Harriman. Because he wouldn't have buried you unless it was Tuesday.
Yeah, he wasn't there because it wasn't Tuesday.
And he suffered like such blunt force trauma, but he still survived long enough to get out some lines to Picard. I know that the dramatic death is a thing, but on the bridge.
Under the bridge, yes.
Oh, that's so good.
The one in the beginning I thought was really anticlimactic, but I guess death can be like that, where it's just like, well, He's just frozen and floating in space, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Do you or did you cry when Kirk dies? And like for me, literally every time. It's one of those moments in Trek where doesn't matter how many times you know. It's like the death of Eris in Final Fantasy VII. It doesn't matter how many times I play it. Yep, every single time.
Just
Guess
the
I'm
way
the only
that
softie.
just the way that the story's written, it's really hard for me to drum up the emotions because I just don't really understand why Kirk is there at all. Like why he must be there. Picard could have done this himself.
The way the
He
Nexus
didn't
works,
need
it was very
Kirk there, so it's like this is not necessary.
Right. He was a useful distraction for a little bit.
Also,
yeah,
like
really.
Kirk being in the Nexus doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Like, how did he end up there? Is this like heaven or something? Because did he get hit with that ribbon or whatever?
Yeah, the ribbon hit that part of the ship, and then that took him out of it.
Well, that is the one part that's a little wonky to me, because if he could just get ripped out of the ship into it, why did they say nobody could go into it? Like, if it doesn't matter if the ship is destroyed or not, why couldn't someone just fly into it?
And here's one of the many problems that start bringing the movie down. Like, again, yep, when I was a kid and I didn't think about all of the little tiny things, what a great movie. This was an 8 or a 9 for me. But when you start putting some of it under any amount of scrutiny, especially the Nexus, and I guess we can just like talk about this a little bit. There's a lot of things that just don't make any sense. Like, okay, Kirk going into it, that's fine. But, like, if you can go back to any point in time and place in history, why not go back 3 years and, grab Soren when he's on the toilet sometime? And if Picard and Kirk can interfere with this, Soren's obviously in the Nexus. Why can't he go back and change time again and stop them from stopping him?
Why not send Kirk back to the Enterprise B and have them beam everyone off except Soren and leave him in the Nexus to begin with?
Yeah, there's a million things that you could do better that would make more sense.
Like they time traveled back to the point where it was the most difficult for them to fix the problem, when they could have picked any other time and place.
I guess the only reason for that to be true is temporal prime directive. Like, Picard came from that time, so he's not going to affect anything else too much if he just goes back right there and takes care of it, I guess.
I mean, they still could have gone back like 10 extra minutes.
Get all the time they want. They got a Nexus.
A lot of what ifs.
But like, even addressing the ribbon problem itself could be messing with the temporal prime directive, right?
Oh, that's a great question, though. I think at this point, I don't know that Soren cares enough. He just wants to get into the Nexus. But yeah, somebody like Guinan or something like want to get in there and like save the Elorian people and their homeworld. It doesn't make any sense when you start thinking about it.
It's more dangerous than the Guardian of Forever.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like Star Trek sometimes does strange timey-wimey things, and this is especially transparently plot convenience.
Yeah.
No need to apologize, Nadia. Do you see who you're dealing with here?
Thank you.
Oh, something that did occur to me.
Wearing an Enterprise D shirt. Come on.
Oh yeah. Is it this? This is like 2 or 3 times in older Trek stuff where they've like had Romulans involved with something that could conceivably have been what led to the supernova. Like they were trying to steal the trilithium, which destroyed the heart of a star in this movie.
Does trilithium come up in Star Trek ever again?
It came up before, but it meant something different.
Of course it did.
It was what they like terrorists stole in the when the ship got the Baryon sweep. Name's escaping me. Starship Mine. Starship
Another
Mine.
Tim Russ episode. Interesting.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't think the final one does. It's what Cisco poisons that planet's atmosphere with when he's fighting with
yeah.
Eddington.
Yeah.
He poisons it with trilithium.
Somebody
Or the
poisoned
uniform. Great episode.
The loss of the D.
Yeah, I mean we can. I don't know what you want to
That's
discuss. Like it's fine. Like I get it. They were just getting rid of the old so they can make way for the new and bring the E in on the next one. It is
How
what it is for
old
me.
was it though? I mean, it was
I think
clearly
just like 7.5 years at this point.
no. I mean, like the movie D is clearly an upgrade from the TV D because not only is everything just insanely darker, and I hate it because, like, even in particular that one scene where Picard's talking to Troy about his family, half of that scene they're in shadow, and like the brightest thing that happens is when the star explodes. But then you get out on the bridge, and like on TV, they just got those side panels with the beige things under them.
Mhm.
In the movie, those are like actual stations that they have people working at. And it's
One
never
thing-
brought up that like they glowed up between, the series and the movie.
And it couldn't have been that much time. Because
And
Geordi refers to Encounter at Farpoint as 7 years ago.
Where's
Yeah.
Livingston? Where
No,
is
he's in
Livingston?
the fish
Is
tank's
there no fish
in
in
there.
there?
I mean, I don't know that we actually see the fish, but
It
the
might have
tank's
just been
there.
an empty fish tank at that point. I don't know.
If there was a Livingston, he probably didn't make it through the crash landing.
He was cooked.
Picard probably threw him away like the Curlin Nesca.
Not contaminate him.
The girl in I'm more worried about that like when he picks it up, he's just whatever.
Like and he like holds it or he reunites it with like Data does with Spot, and he cries and holds it even though it's poisonous. Like, oh my god, my fish.
The only family I have left. I won't let you
My
go.
ship, my crew. I bet you're worried about your fish too.
Time is the fire in which we swim, isn't it, Livingston? Yes.
Time is the ocean in which we drown.
Oh, I think we've gotten the best one-liners out of this movie out of any stream we've ever done here on Buffer Time.
Teddington.
We are having so much fun.
James K. I think that's actually in the novelization.
The second Imzadi book starts after the crash landing of this ship.
Yeah.
And they just go around saying nice flying. It's tough.
Just always dunking on the woman driver.
Weirdly, yeah. It's a weird trauma response from like everybody. It's like, oh, nice landing. Yeah, did you walk away from it? Because it looks like you did.
Looks like everybody's alive.
At least she never drove a ship into anything ever again.
We did have the question, why no seatbelts for crash landings?
I know seatbelts, period. Wonder that sometimes, like, no, I've seen seatbelts at one point. Oh yeah, it was in the animated series. Like for a while, the Enterprise had like seatbelts for the officers, at least at the front stations. I was like, why don't they have these all the time?
We saw it in a deleted scene in a future movie, but it didn't make the cut.
I think it's sort of like Titanic adjacent hubris. Like not enough lifeboats, not enough no seatbelts. We just don't need it. We're never going to land.
The seatbelts would get in the way of the rocks.
Who could possibly hack our chief engineer's visor and blow through our shields?
Yeah, that's never happened.
It's so implausible.
At least we got to see LeVar Burton all oiled up and topless.
Glad you approve.
Which is more egregious, his tied up scene here or his scene from Roots? You know which scene we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's weird
No
that
one's
he's
getting wet.
fetishized in that that show that way, like considering
So-
the tone and the subject matter. Like,
And here's the thing about this scene. I don't remember if this was actually filmed, but it was originally written where Soren stops his heart and like he's like straight up torturing him. And they cut that out.
The line was still in there though. It said his heart just wasn't in it or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Which
He
means
says
nothing
it
at
like
this point,
jokingly, but yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, I'm glad that they left out the torture scenes. I really think
Yeah.
Trek use a lot less of that always.
Yeah, I don't have any more questions. I know I said like I don't know. I know we're not going to get through these questions, but we like almost all of them that I came to at the end, like we had already basically gone over. So, got a few minutes. If you guys have any final thoughts or questions before we do our out of tens.
Who the hell is Antonia? That's what I want to know. Is this some random lady? Like, when do we get any background on her, or is she just?
In canon, not that I know of.
So it's not her son's mom, his son's mom, or anything. It's just some lady.
It sounded like someone he met on Earth during movies that he was going to marry, and then he's like, "Nope, going back to Starfleet."
Yeah, and then like when is that set? Is that set like is that supposed to be before the motion picture? Before 2?
It couldn't have been
Sometime
before the
between
motion
6
picture.
and Generations?
Because he said the dog was
No, it's whenever-
dead 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Oh, good point. Good point. So it's probably somewhere around 5 or after 6.
Or they didn't really think about it and just wrote
Yeah.
some dialogue. But
Because this would take some serious math. Because you got to figure it's after the series, because Generations comes after the series. And the whole bit with the Enterprise B comes 78 years before that, according to a caption. And from Kirk's point of view, he just got there, but he says that wherever he is, it's like 9 years earlier.
and then he
Again,
jumps
more
to
math than I
another
wanna
place,
do.
which was 2 years before that when he met her or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like
So
making
it's
this
11 years before
disgusting breakfast that he
Katarian eggs
burned
don't
to
appease him.
to be like soften
Too
the
much
blow,
milk.
going back to Starfleet.
I'm also
Yeah,
amazed.
it's giving George Glass. I don't believe she's real.
In all these movies, people just have such a grasp on time that I've never had. Like he died. My dog died exactly 2 years ago. I'm like, I wouldn't be able to say that. I'd be like, at some point in the past, I can't give you a date.
that. It's the fire in which our pets burn.
Was it Antonia Dax? No, Dax was in the last movie.
Oh my
Crewman
God.
Dax.
Antonia Danza.
Antonia Dax.
Like, I would think if Antonia was a Dax, that would be like the one past life that they would repress. Like they would like push that down and have to do the rejoining
Oh,
to like
no.
get reacquainted with that part of their life, because it's like, oh, I blacked that out being with Kirk.
That would mean Dax was attracted to McCoy, Spock, and Kirk.
Yeah, any other final questions here? I'm looking for the graphic that I had made. I'm sensing a no here.
Oh,
I'll just
we're like, I just noticed those kids were the same ones from the holodeck from Janeway's holodeck.
And Janeway was Mary Poppinsing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that this time around.
Hmm.
I was like, hey, you kids get around.
same snotty little English kids
Mhm.
that are French.
Thank you so much for the doll,
French now.
Papa. She's beautiful. Great gift.
It wasn't really a question, just an observation.
No, but it did. You reminded me. It did kind of annoy me that he's living his perfect family life, and then while they're opening the Christmas gifts, he's over talking to Guinan, not even like paying attention to the family he's always wanted.
Right. Like this.
Yeah,
this
that's classic Picard.
this legacy thing that he's preoccupied with in that speech where he talks about, oh, my family, is known for this and that and the other thing, and this boy was going to carry on our name, and now he's gone. And it's like, is that the only reason you care, is your last name? It has nothing to do with the fact that you lost a nephew. And like, it really did touch me when he said, there's so many things that he's never going to experience, but like, to just be, what if this kid never has kids, like, it's the same problem.
I'm sure a sour
Norman,
mead will continue without him.
I love this explanation. Picard's wife is the one from the fourth floor in Janeway's holodeck program, where she's always wondering what's on the fourth floor. And it bothers me that we've never found out.
Star Trek Legacy can still give us those answers.
Okay. Well, we've gone over our hour mark. I put together this graphic this week of this. This is all of the average ranks that we've given the movie so far. So let's do our out of 10s for Generations. Before I had a Trek YouTube channel, I would have given this an 8 or a 9. As is, I'm struggling to give it a 7. It's better than Search for Spock for me. It's like it's a 6.75. It's got really good moments. It's a really good transition between TOS and TNG crew. But it has some significant problems, and if you put any scrutiny to anything besides Picard's family issues, it falls apart. So 6.75 from me. Go Scott.
By the way, we forgot to talk about the boob windows. Just wanted to mention that.
Boob window. Oh, you know what? I'm going to give it a 6. I'll change it, Scott. 6.8. I'm going to give it a 6.8 for boob windows.
All right. Oh, and my name's on there now. Yeah, I actually don't have too much of a problem with giving it a 7. I'm probably running on nostalgia just like you are, Dustin. I absolutely saw this one when I was a kid because my mom had a box set of the first 6, and it was the kind where like it actually came in a box, and the spines, like when you put them together in the right order, it shows a picture of the Enterprise. But then we also got Generations, which came in its own VHS sleeve. That was all like shiny and kind of holographic looking.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I would say I enjoyed this for. Could you go back and put those in? Because I'm managing to add those scores and trying to add those scores and talk at the same time. Thank you.
I'm already working on it. Yep.
Oh,
you go.
Okay, so where was I? Yeah. Okay. I like it for the nostalgia. I think the effects actually still hold up, whether it's the wine bottle or stellar cartography. I enjoyed more or less the way they portrayed Data in this one. It needed a little comic relief, and an android describing his emotions for the first time. Why not? I like the Nexus at face value as an interesting idea and a way of time travel. It does tend to fall apart when you look into it. Yeah, so I said 7. Yeah, go overall 7.
Cool. I'm gonna rain on the parade, sadly. I think it's like 3.5.
Ooh.
Like, there are so many structural problems with this movie. The first component of it on the Enterprise B really doesn't grok tonally with the rest of it. It doesn't feel as fun as the TOS movies to me. I don't think like I think structurally, like having movies sort of center around Kirk because he's sort of the main character of TOS makes sense, but to make Picard the main character of these movies doesn't really work. TNG is much more of an ensemble cast, and to sort of have the rest of the cast barely feature in this movie, except to sort of create stakes as like hostages or whatever. I don't love that. I think like Jordy just being a hostage, don't love it. Beverly, as you mentioned before, doesn't show up here. Um, Troy barely is in there. So yeah, I'm just not a fan of this movie. I
At least
don't
she doesn't get
find
mind assaulted.
yeah, I just don't find it as
That's something.
entertaining as even the bad TOS movies. So that's why 3.5.
Thank you, James K. And thank you, Vanessa, for your truth
Yes,
bomb.
thank you, James.
He truth bombing.
So I think I'm more in the positive camp. I was waffling between 6.75 and a 7. I'll probably just go full 7. Because that's the number of the movie, right? So one thing that I always say about the Star Trek movies is I like to look at them as movies separately from the show. But this one to me is probably the one that feels the closest to actually coming from Next Generation than any of the other movies. I know people like to say Insurrection feels like a long episode, but this one has that weird kind of gray area where they're still coming out of the show, but they're also becoming a movie. So the characters kind of still feel the same, but they're a little bit different. The ship looks a little bit different, but it could still be in a twisted version, the actual TNG show. I don't think all the things worked the way they were hoping for, like having Kirk in the movie to pass the torch was a great idea on paper. I don't know if they actually needed it because TNG was over at that point. So I don't know if they actually needed a full on, here you go, you guys take over now for just the movies. But I liked seeing him in the movie. It didn't really make sense. But it was just, I think the most important part is I just had fun with it. A lot of the logical things didn't add up. A lot of the inconsistencies with the rushed nature of things, like scrambling to see who's putting on what uniform in any given moment because they didn't have the new uniforms they were supposed to. So they're just like, Riker, wear Avery Brooks' uniform. You're the same size, right? It's actually it adds another layer of fun stuff to watch. Like, who's going to be wearing the red shoulders this scene? Who's going to be wearing the black shoulders this scene? Who knows? Nobody knows. So it's just, I think overall, I just had more fun watching it than it really warrants for the consistency of the story and what's actually happening. And I think a lot of that is nostalgia, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it at a 7.
Yeah, I was struggling today, really thinking about whether I was going to give it a 6 or a 7, and yeah, we feel pretty much the same about that. So, man, the average puts this just a fraction of a point under Search for Spock. I can live with that. I mean, personally, I think it's just a little bit better, but I can see that. Overall, they're almost as good as each other. They both have problems. They both have awesome moments. This one doesn't have anything as egregious as the touching tips scene, but we've thoroughly covered that, I think, at this point. Any final thoughts?
I have one question we forgot to cover. So during the Kirk death scene when he was with Picard, which would have felt more impactful? If they did a round of row, row, row your boat or Frere Jacques?
Ooh, that's tough.
It would have been weird because both of those songs, both of those songs are significant to one of them, but not the other. Like if Kirk just started singing it, Picard's like, "What are you doing?"
I think it would have been really funny if they did like a round of both songs like on top of each other.
Mm.
They've both mind melded with Spock, so I'm going to say the Laughing Vulcan and his dog.
Okay.
With marshmallows, they toast
course,
it
marshmallows,
over
of course.
over that the explosion of Malcolm McDowell and the blue barrels. You know, they're singing "Kumbaya."
With
Then you
the
do a whip pan to
dispenser.
Bones eating beans and bourbon.
Yes.
I'm still alive, remember?
That's a good point. Okay, well,
Ooh.
I detect that we are almost done. So, next week we've got First Contact, and I think that's going to rank quite a bit higher, at least for me. So, I'd like to thank you guys who've joined me today, and for all of you out there who tuned in. And until next time,